We were literally turned down by every studio that we went to. It's Keanu being an assassin, kills dozens of people over a puppy. His wife has a cancer, doesn't have anything to do with bad guys, and it's directed by two, not one, but two crazy stunt guys. So, yeah, it wasn't a great pitch.
Hey, I'm Danny Boyd, and this is CinemaStix, a celebration of film and film form.
I think that there's a perception in Hollywood productions that, second unit guys they put the polish on the movie, they shoot the action sequences, but they can't tell a story. So we fought that stigma for a long time.
That was Chad Stahelski and David Leitch, co-directors on the original John Wick, which, by the way, was literally an independent film before it launched into an international action franchise, effectively disrupting the production style of an entire genre. But back in the beginning, the film was damn near impossible to get funded, and even harder, to actually get seen. Nobody trusted these guys to make a good movie. Nobody except Keanu Reeves.
We had been looking a long time for a piece of material that we could direct, and it was sort of this perfect storm. All the things that Keanu said about the material, the character, the underworld, we responded to, but then to know that Keanu was going to play John Wick, we were like, we have to fight to direct this movie.
And so Stahelski, Leitch, and Reeves did fight.
Vigo will kill me.
They managed to convince Thunder Road, the independent production house that owned the script, to let the two direct. But even with Keanu attached, no one wanted to finance a movie directed by two second-unit stunt directors. Not to mention the fact that Reeves was coming off the heels of one of the biggest box office disasters in history, and it eventually took Reeves paying for the last chunk of the movie himself to get it up and running, 2 weeks late, with a frankly modest budget of $20 million.
Goodbye, Charlie.
For reference, Jack Ryan's Shadow Recruit came out that same year, cost 3 times that, and no one ever talks about that movie. The industry doesn't put its faith in first-time directors, let alone a couple of stunt guys, believing, hey, they can't direct a story, they can't work with actors.
Fact of the matter is, we work with actors every single day on second unit, and as fight choreographers, and as stunt coordinators. This was our chance to prove it.
Of course, Leitch and Stahelski are no ordinary stunt guys.
I was fortunate enough to be one of the stunt doubles for Keanu on the first Matrix.
In fact, they were both involved.
Now, we started out, we have an extensive martial arts background, and we met each other through martial arts like 20 plus years ago. We came up through the ranks as stunt performers and fight choreographers. And we started a choreography company after working on the Matrix films.
Despite what anyone thought, Stahelski and Leitch had all the training they needed to direct a movie.
It is what we learned from shooting and editing our own stuff for years, the stunt viz for sure, like having a plan, this is what we're doing. You just applied it to the whole movie. And also being department heads as stunt coordinators, second unit directors, and then working under these directors and seeing the successes and failures. Like, again, our bandwidth for what's efficient is more than the average director.
But it's the action of John Wick, above all, that caught the world off guard.
We took all these grappling mixed martial art disciplines and combined it with tactical gun work in a fantasy martial art called Gun Fu.
Chad and Dave wanted to do shoot the action in John Wick with longer takes, wide, see it really happening in front of you, which I feel really helps connect, to the character. You see what he's doing.
Well, I think that's the way we came up. We're big fans of Asian cinema, of Japanese anime, and we think that the longer the takes, the more vested you become in the character, and we had a great cast member who could do the longer takes, who had the physical capacity.
Stahelski and Leitch cut for impact, but not to get around moves, or speed things up, or hide mistakes. It's not just about the moment of, it's about the moment before and the moment after. It's not just about the action or the violence, it's about the character, and showing off what a human being is actually capable of doing. And 90% of the time, it's Keanu Reeves doing all of it.
I got to do some stuff that I'd never done before. So there was some judo, there was some jiu-jitsu. Got to drive a car, got to do some 180s, some drifting. Yeah, so I killed people with cars. I killed them with guns. I killed them with jiu-jitsu. I just flipped them and primed them for being killed with judo. But I'm not really killing them. They're like in my way.
But truly, being able to drive and drift means being able to execute a 90 and hit your mark so perfectly that the camera can push in straight through the car into a close-up. It means doing a 180 with a gun in your hand.
The directors wanted to do this shot where there's a guy shooting at me, I'm in a car, I come sliding in and drift around and come back around in one take. But plus be shooting while you're doing that. It does put a higher demand on all of the performers for the timing and all of that and the dance with the camera.
Cameramen are usually brought in the same week you start shooting, or maybe a week out to check their cameras and go. I bring in my camera guys 4 weeks out and they go to every stunt rehearsal. The DP goes to every stunt rehearsal. The stunt guy, the wardrobe people go to every stunt rehearsal. So I spend probably twice as much money in prep as everybody else, not just training the actors, but training the crew. So when we walk on set, everybody knows what they're doing instead of everybody seeing the set for the first time and seeing the fight for the first time. And the cameraman, remember, the best fight scene in the world is great, but if you have a camera guy with a 75-pound piece of metal on his shoulder, if you got a guy pushing a dolly on a track with a guy hitting the knobs to try and lift and raise the camera, and he's never seen the fight scene before, how do you expect this guy to keep up with the fastest 5'5" martial art team on the planet?
The thing that makes John Wick great is like our appetite was huge, our budget was small, but our will was like strong, and we just were like, we're gonna go for it.
But even after the movie got made, that was far from it. John Wick was still a couple studio execs' beguiled faces away from getting sent straight to Blu-ray. Nobody with any power understood it, nobody with any money wanted to distribute it, and none of the critics in early screenings for it could figure out why they'd never heard of it. But some surprise standing ovations at some early viewings stirred up the chatter, and some big heads beneath their wigs began to turn. People were connecting to something deeper beneath all the death and the violence.
Keanu brings, I hate to use the word softness, but he brings a more emotional side to most of the roles he does. He's never played something that's hard as nails or the absolute Terminator of killers. He's always got a more humanistic side to him.
Movies are stories, and we're just trying to tell a story about a guy that is in a really emotional, fragile state, and he is wronged. And to actually have see an action movie with a little bit of soul.
I love when action is connected to story and connected to character. So the film, to me, had this emotional connection with John Wick, who's grieving, who's lost something, lost the love of his life, has this mythical dark past. And I loved the quest that he goes on to reclaim his life, and then the world that he moves through in it.
A world shot, no surprise, by Jonathan Sella, whose neon palette would show up again in Bullet Train, whose aptitude for extensive fight choreography was unparalleled in Atomic Blonde. But it all started here, with John Wick.
Of all three, and I poured my last 6 years of my life in all three of those things, I still love the first one the best. That's my favorite. I love moments, and I love the making of the other two, and I love all that stuff. I'll love doing another one. I love Keanu, I love the crew, I love everything. But like the first one, just because of all the imperfections, because of all the limitations, makes you your best. So,
yeah. I'm Danny Boyd. Thanks for watching.
Just looking through the sky.